all of a sudden they've outgrown trophies when they've not won it in flipping 5 years. Like, it makes no sense to me. In order to,
it's like I already have the most of it, and I haven't won anything in years, and I've been building. I have to win the big thing.
The most critical bit.
This is mad, bro.
Just to add on.
This is crazy. This is crazy.
No, hold on. Do you want to know what the
Josh Kroenke had a meeting with Arteta and reported by some people on social media. I don't know how reliable these reports are, but the reports are saying that Josh Kroenke held a meeting with Mikel Arteta to discuss expectations for this season and has given Arteta everything he's asked for and expects to have a successful season. Trophies must be won.
Makes sense.
But that's how the Kroenkes operate now. Like, again, I think if Arsenal fans are being realistic about these
Welcome,
guys,
Ahmed.
Yeah, Ahmed, what's up, man? If Arsenal fans are being realistic about the Kroenkes, yeah, this is how they operate. They did the same thing with the Rams. They had the youngest manager for the Rams since 2016, 2017. They didn't win their first Super Bowl until 2021, about 4, 5, or 6 years later. Like, they built that way. That's how the Kroenkes operate in all their franchises. They take I don't know why they do that, but it is what they do. So now they probably are, like, again, having that meeting and saying, now we've given you everything you need. We're expecting trophies now. And they've done that with all their franchises. So, I expect big things this season. That's what should happen.
You think waiting 5 years, because you use the reference,
is that method? I don't like it. I don't think it's good. I personally don't, because you have the money. Kroenkes are billionaires. I feel like you can pump the money in the club in the first 2 years and really get up and going. But this is how they've always operated with all their franchise, and it's annoying. I don't like it, but it is what it is. I'm not the owner. They are. Yeah. I mean, what can you do?
What don't you like? I'm confused.
Yeah,
I don't like their process, the way they do things. Like, they tend to take their time to build, which is good. They make the club a little stable. Then they pump in a lot of money. Like, they pump in a lot of money at a time, and then they expect you to win. And it's happened with majority of the franchises where they've actually won with those franchises. The same method.
Right.
Like,
you don't like it.
I don't. What I mean by I don't like it is, as a fan, I want my team to win. You know how it is every year.
Okay, I got you.
When you don't win,
but now they're showing the ambition that they want to win.
But I like the business side of how they're running things. Like the club, regardless of how badly we sell, we're never in the red. We're always, our books are always balanced, and so. But as a fan, of course, I want to win every year. So that's the part I don't like, that delay, that wait. Like, yeah.
Okay.
As a big fan of Arteta, I read this and I think it's just
a big fan. You're only a big fan.
Yeah, I would say this is just business as usual. You go into a meeting off the back of spending the most money you've ever spent in your club's history. You tell the manager it's time to deliver. Simple. And I don't think anyone should disagree with anything coming out of this. If this is legitimate, though, if this is fake and it's just somebody just making something up, I wouldn't be surprised if they discussed this in their meeting regardless. Whatever comes out of this meeting, we'll find out eventually. But right now, Josh Kroenke should go to Arteta and be like, hey, I gave you the most money in the club's history. We've signed 8 players. We've done a little mini transition. If I told anybody at the beginning of the window Arsenal would spend this much money and sign 8 players, you guys would have told me you're smoking drugs. And at this moment in time,
I mean, this topic is something that they must discuss. Every business will discuss at the beginning of the season, like, okay, what is our expectation of you based off what we've given you? So, I mean, when it comes to Arsenal, I get it, because Arteta hasn't won anything in 5 years as regards to any other trophy in 5 years. So the pressure is on to say, oh, Josh Kroenke had a meeting, but they have this meeting every year. It's standard,
And you know what? Shout out to Josh, because Josh's rise has led to Arsenal being a lot more serious. And I do think Josh Kroenke has pushed Arsenal in the right direction, where his dad kind of took a very hands-off approach, and maybe wouldn't have had such good results.
They run their franchises well. It's just the method that they use. It's like they did it with their NHL team, their hockey team. It took them 8 years. They eventually won the Stanley Cup. They did it with the Rams.
They kind of messed up the basketball team. They should have won more.
They did it with the Rams. They did about 4 or 5 years. They brought in the youngest coach in the history of the NFL, a 30-year-old that had literally, I made him the Rams coach.
He's one of the best. Sean McVay is one of the best.
And they backed him all the way till he won. They did the same thing with their basketball team.
Let's hear from the rivals before we move on.
What did the coach say? The objective is to win trophies, did he say?
No. Basically, I don't know if it's legit, but they basically said that they spoke about the fact that they spent so much money and the objectives for the season.
Oh, okay. So so they haven't specified what trophy. They just said he must bring silverware, like a trophy.
Yeah. They must,
So that means he can finish like second or third, and if he wins a Carabao or an FA, he still has another season.
I don't believe that's the case.
We don't know the details of.
We don't know. It's not FIFA. We don't know exactly what they're asking. But
if they said trophies, we don't know if they specifically said to him the trophies we're talking about are the Premier League and the Champions League. Like we don't know those facts. We just know that in any meeting, again, this is a standard thing in any meeting. If you have spent money at the business, you will expect something in return. So your discussion with your manager has to be, you have to win this season because I've given you everything that you need. You have.
So would you take second place finish with no trophies or 2 trophies and you finish outside the Champions League?
No.
I don't want to finish outside the Champions League. Even
Bro,
so you would
anything below winning the Champions League or league to me is failure.
So are you saying that if you finish 6th and you win an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup, you wouldn't take that over finishing second?
That's still failure.
Let me put it this way: I'll be happy as a fan that we won a trophy. I think I won a trophy, but it's failure. It's failure.
You can say it's failure, but I'm saying which one do you want? Because like
which one do I want? Based on the objective, it's still failure. It's a humongous failure. Forget about the fact that we won 2 trophies. If we finish outside of the Champions League spots and we don't win either the league or the Champions League, even if we win FA Cups and we finish outside the Champions League spots, that's a failure of a season.
Because again, you have to look at what you spend financially this window, this summer to bolster.
Trophies can't pay for
even get to this point.
Exactly. To get to this point, and then you can go and win only an FA and Carabao.
For us to finish,
do you know what that means?
For us to finish 5th or 6th
as well.
So you've been.
Let me explain one thing. I'm losing both ways. If I get a Carabao and the FA Cup, whatever the winning monies are, it doesn't cover what I spent this summer alone. I don't recoup what I've spent.
Whatever they win, Ahmed, whatever they win, they have to still be in Europe.
Yeah, so exactly.
That's the only success. They have to be in Europe.
No. Not even that. We come in second and we win a domestic double. It's still not good enough.
No, it's not good enough, Egal. But what I'm saying to Ahmed gave us 2 very particular scenarios.
I mean, not a league. I mean, like Carabao FA Cup.
Ahmed said FA Cup and finish outside the Champions League. That's one scenario. The second scenario is finish in the in Champions League second with no medal, with no trophies at all. And I said, as bad as it is, of course, as a fan, I want trophies. So if I am going to take the trophies, I have to finish in the Champions League spot.
Yeah,
that's the barest minimum that I will take, like the barest. And it doesn't mean I'm keeping the manager after that. It just means we finally won trophies. The players have a taste of what it feels like to win something. Maybe
it's progress for Arteta if he wins a domestic trophy and finishes in Europe.
That's what I mean. To interrupt, but I've been radicalized to the point where it's not even trophies to me. The only trophies that matter are the league and the Champions League.
Stop this.
Wait.
Because to me, the League Cup and FA Cup do not change the trajectory of Arsenal's project.
Yeah, but in your position, you can't say that.
For Arsenal to take a step up, we have to go for the league or the Champions League. If we were to win the FA Cup or League Cup, it's great, but it's not going to actually change.
But you're not in a position to be picking and choosing.
I disagree.
No, I'm saying what is actually going to mean Arsenal have been successful for me is the league or the Champions League. To me, winning the FA Cup and League Cup is not the barometer of success that I'm looking at.
Yeah, his definition of success, because there's one thing for you to say Arsenal needs to win trophies, but what trophies are we talking about? Because if we had been winning the Carabao and the FA Cups in the last 5 years, then we'd be like, all right, Arsenal needs to win trophies. We now know we're talking about Champions League and Premier League, right? Here, what all of them count. But because of how Arsenal has behaved in the last 3 years, coming second back to back, literally getting close enough and just falling off every time, it's now a case of you have to go for that big one. If you get the little ones along the way, great, good stuff. But you have to go for the big one, And again, just to put a final thing, like I said earlier, those 2 cups, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, financially can cause us problems with how much we spent as a club. Just this window alone, those 2 cups do not cover anything that we spent. So we must be qualifying for Champions League because the media buying rights for Champions League can cover what we spent, at least bare minimum. If we win nothing, financially, you don't want your club in ruins. So if you're not qualifying for Champions League and you're not getting that Champions League TV money, you're not getting the Premier League big bucks because you have fallen off that far, you're in trouble financially with all the money you spent. So not only did you not win anything tangible, you did not win what you wanted to get.
Yeah, you got to make
That's
money.
going to hurt the ownership. Yeah, that's going to hurt the ownership.
It's also going to hurt me if PSR hits my club and I can't buy players next season. It's going to hurt me some more. It means many more years of not winning.
1 second, guys. Ahmed wants to say something. What you trying to say?
Listen, I get maybe what Ahmed is saying, but I think we need to realize right now, Arsenal's probably in year 5 or year 5 of their project, bro. These guys have spent a lot of money. They've been getting second consistently. They are at the point now where, you know, an FA Cup is not going to satiate their fan base. A Carabao Cup is not going to satiate their fan base, bro. It has to be a Champions League or Premier League trophy at this point. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. That's as simple as that, really.
Well, that's not going to happen, though. That's the thing. That we have to be realistic.
Listen, that may not. No. But the thing is, Ahmed, I think the time for realism has left the window in the terms of like. I think
Ahmed,
if they had done that, if they had done the FA Cup 2 seasons ago, I promise you, their fans would have been happy. But the problem is that time of winning the FA Cup and Carabao Cup within their period of like going to where they want to go.
Ahmed, what do you think the objective of Arsenal should be this season? After buying 8 players, spending over £250 million.
It has to be to win.
Their objective, this season, their objective this season in terms of how much they spend is either winning the Prem or the Champs.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what we're saying. We're saying that anything short of that we will term as failure. I'm
not saying that's not a failure, though. What I'm trying to say to you is what's being realistic is that you're not going to win a champion. I'm not even hating. You're not going to win a Champions League, and the Premier League is going to go to Liverpool, right? They're not going to win a Champions League. There's other teams in Europe that are much better than Arsenal with much superior managers.
So if we look at the trajectory of those many other teams that are better than Arsenal, they all had the same similar trajectory where they came in, they got into the semi, they got into the quarter, the knockout stage quarter, semi, back to back. PSG did it a couple of times and then eventually made it to the final. Arsenal has just been back to the Champions League for two years now. In the first year, we made it to the quarterfinal. Last year, we made it to the semi-final. So why can't we be able to still now look at that competition and say, this season, let's focus on that and get into the final. And the final is a game of whoever really wants it. So you can't sit there and tell me that we can't make it. Like,
hopefully you guys can play Inter in the final.
The trajectory has been like PSG. You know,
okay, let me just introduce Jay. Jay, welcome. We're kind of having a conversation about what is success for Arsenal, because Josh Kroenke and Arteta had a meeting about trying to have a successful season and kicking on.
He said, I spent 300 of the Queen's face. Yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing here, bro?
What do you deem a successful season for Arsenal?
I think difficult one. I think it's obviously the Champions League or league at this point. I feel like when you've invested this much time and effort and you've not won for 5 years. I've always been of the belief that if you're thirsty, you should drink toilet water. And, you know, I think Arsenal are thirsty for a trophy at the moment, but potentially they have Evian water taste, even though they are dying of thirst. And I understand it, having been in a situation with Spurs that was analogous to this, where we were.
That's back in the day, though, Jay. That was back in the day.
It was back in the day. It was back in the day. Ironically, Arsenal only won a trophy a season later, so it's back in the day, unless it's relative to saying that Arteta's successful. But that's another story for another day. In conclusion, I think the Arsenal fans have outgrown, rightly or wrongly, winning an FA Cup or a League Cup to satisfy them, and they want a big trophy. So the amount of investment, the time they've waited for a trophy, the quality of their players, the quality of the manager, I think they have to win the league or Champions League. I think is what would constitute success.
I don't think they've outgrown it. I don't think Arsenal fans have outgrown it. No chance. I think if you give them any trophy, they'll be gassed.
No. Let me tell you why we think we've also outgrown.
No, we can be gassed about a trophy.
Let me tell you why I also think why we've outgrown that, and I agree with Jay. Because of how long we waited. That's one, too. If it's the FA Cup, even though we've not won anything in 5 years, right? And we've not won the league in 20-something plus years, we still have the most FA Cups. Like, literally. So we're like, what do we need? What, as an Arsenal fan, what do I even need that FA Cup for anyways, right now?
I need
like,
some trophies.
No, but do you understand what I'm saying, Vator? It's like, I already have the most of it, and I haven't won anything in years, and I've been building. I have to win a big thing. Like,
No, but also, but one of the most critical
Wait,
bits.
Vator, this is mad, bro.
Just to add on.
This
to
is
the
crazy. This is
This
crazy.
man,
Point. No, hold
listen,
on.
listen,
I
let me
mean,
tell
do you want to know what the kicker is? Is that Wenger won an FA Cup, and Arteta's first team won an FA Cup. So, from a perspective point of view, from an Arsenal fan, yeah, the worst they've been, yeah, in the last X amount of years, was still capable of winning an FA Cup. Therefore, consequently, with your brain, that will do something to diminish the accomplishment if they do win an FA Cup. Do you see what I mean? They will do the comparison.
It's flawed
And
thinking.
it's
But yeah,
flawed
the same,
thinking,
the same.
but 90% of that fan base will think like that.
yeah.
Like
No,
it's a
but Jay-
logical human chain of
Jay,
thought.
the same people who are criticizing Arsenal for not winning in the last 5 years were criticizing Arsenal for only winning FA Cups.
No, don't say cups. The last 5 years, you won one FA
he's
Cup,
talking-
No,
singular.
Under Arsene Wenger,
Under
Arsene Wenger,
under
we
Arsene
kept
Wenger.
finishing fourth. We kept winning FA Cups, and we kept getting called shit. So, to me,
It's like,
winning the FA Cup does not solve the main issue of getting over the hurdle of winning, getting
do you
over the
understand
hurdle
what,
of
do you
actually
understand what he's saying?
achieving.
Vader, just
I hear what he's saying, but let's be accurate though, because when Arsene Wenger was only winning those FA Cups, he was far from challenging for the league. It's very different. You guys were finishing
No,
fourth
no.
and being
Yeah, but he
we
was
finished second the Leicester season.
He was qualifying for Champions League. He came second one time, won FA Cup. They called it shit. Let's be honest. So now the point is, after all this spending and all these years,
that's because the standards were higher.
hold on. But then that's what I'm saying now. Now you spent more money to increase your standards. You've spent more money to bring in better quality players. You spent more money over time in the club to build and be stable. You're no longer owned by a board. You're owned by one family that actually owns the business. Hold on. And you spent all this money. You spent $1 billion, just like everybody else around you who have spent $1 billion to win something. Your expectation, because when you were winning FA Cups and coming fourth, you were called shit, is not to come fourth again and win an FA Cup after doing all this. Do you understand? I get what you mean. I get what you mean by a beggar has no choice. Take whatever you guys get, but that's nonsense at this stage. You either go all in, or you fire the man and sell the whole club and start again, because you can't spend all that money and then just sit there and say, oh well, let's just take whatever comes.
My thing is, not necessarily you guys. I'm going to talk about the Arsenal fan base, right? For the longest, for the past 2-3 seasons, we've talked about how well they've done in the league. They've challenged, they're developing, and now all of a sudden, they've outgrown trophies when they've not won it in flipping 5 years. Like, it makes no sense to me. In order to,
We're going over the same
Let him finish. No, this is
going
great.
over the same point. We've not outgrown trophies. We're simply saying for Arsenal to be considered going to the next level, winning the FA Cup or League Cup does not take us to that next level.
Bro.
What was the last thing
I think, listen, sorry, before you go, Ahmed, I think you need to understand, Ahmed, that it's too late now for FA Cup and Carabao Cup.
Never too late.
To satiate these guys. That's what you need to realize, bro. You've come too far, bro. They've come way too far now.
Let me put it to Ahmed. Maybe you'll understand it this way. If Arteta wins an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup, I'll take it, but I'll still consider it a failure.
That's you, though. That's you.
No. But that's what. Listen, Ahmed. That's what majority of Arsenal fans will do.
I promise you, a majority of Arsenal fans feel like that.
They will take it. They'll be like, yeah, it's cool. We won the trophy, but they're still going to say Arteta out because again,
do you not understand? We've been this close.
Different.
We've been this close to the league a couple of years ago. We were this close to the league that first year when City did the goddamn trouble. Last season we fell off. This season, we've invested the most money in our club's history. If we come out of investing the most money in our club's history off the back of 3 years where we're expected to challenge for the league, and this season we're considered one of the 2 best teams to go for the league, and if we don't come out with the league title or a Champions League, and we come out with the FA Cup, the season is a failure. And in my opinion, at that point, you should also consider moving on the manager. But that is a conversation for another day. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and leave a comment down below what you thought of that video you just watched.